can we find spirituality or even reach God through sex or our own sexuality?
Well, there's two ways to do it. Okay, so see, we are from one perspective, we're already there. I mean, there was one level of enlightenment. I remember I was a little crazy because I was in the ecstasy of God consciousness at that time. It's a stage along the way, and I just looked at everybody. It's like a little crazy, but it was tangible to me, which is you're all enlightened. Don't you see that you're all God? Everything is God. Just and then you realize, okay, not everybody knows their God. Okay, so life's back to normal. But this is a feeling of oneness with the divine, and people have different experiences along the way, no question about it. The ecstasy of having an orgasm is actually kind of a glimpse of divine intelligence. It's not the enlightenment, it's a glimpse of that. It's an experience of that. What is manipulated to get there. Maybe all techniques are a manipulation, but there's two types of orgasm. I'll just talk about it this way. One is called a climax, and one is an orgasm. Orgasm is a wave of peak pleasure, and it goes higher and higher and higher. And a climax is you hit a target and you're done. Okay, you kind of go down, and it's a release of tension. So what happens for a lot of people in sex is intensifying. They're having pleasure, and in having pleasure, they're seeking more pleasure and more pleasure and more pleasure and more pleasure, as opposed to just enjoying what you have. And what you have is automatically increasing in pleasure. So it's when we're at a certain point, we're clinging, we're wanting to create more than what we're feeling. That's the thing people can be aware of, is you're seeking more. That's often where people want more different partners, or they want more intense types of experiences. See, we're a society where everybody's seeking intensity, and then tension in sex builds up, and then what happens is it's a point where the body is too intense and has a spasm, and that's an orgasm. It's a letting go. And so in that moment of letting go, you get to feel a freedom of no boundaries. Okay, you let go of that blocked tension. Well, there's another thing that sex can provide, which I call enlightened sexuality, is you never seek to intensify. You give up all goals. You don't seek the goal. You have one goal, which is to feel more pleasure in order to express more love. And you're feeling the pleasure. It will become more pleasurable as you express more love. So you're never really focusing on tools and techniques as much, although certainly there's body parts, there's different, what the Taoists would say is different gates that have to open. You kiss first. First you notice breathing. And it's not like you breathe together. That could be a possible technique. But what I've seen it to be is just notice that your body, as you're approaching the whole activity of sex, the arousal is happening. You're noticing your breathing is changing. So you just notice it and you join with that flow, letting your body automatically increase the flow of breathing. And you're in there kissing. And then as you're kissing, that's opening another channel of just feeling the oneness with your partner, the openness with the tongue penetrating, be penetrated, and so forth. And then the whole body, there's another gate of all the joints become more fluid, and you want to move around. There's this natural moving around, which you just let yourself enjoy the freedom of movement with your partner. It's the third gate. And the fourth gate is the breasts, the woman touching the breast, also touching the man's breast as well, but mainly opening the gate with the woman, a variety of tools, techniques, and things. These are all just natural things, but it's good to know that you don't start at the ninth gate. You start at the first gate, your second gate, third gate, fourth gate. Fifth gate is the clitoris. And we've become so intensified, high dopamine society. We want everything quick now. We get bored. You can't go slow. Have to go fast. I mean, new and different, new this, intensifying. Sex, making love can be a way to reverse that tendency, because your body wants it. And often the more a man wants it, the more a woman doesn't want it. Okay, she has to lead in a sense of the arousal. So you go slow as you're building arousal. Some women are slower, most are. It's not always the case, but you want to sort of be in the same level of arousal as you're going through this process of going through the woman's erogenous zones. And of course, the man has his erogenous zone. One, just hold his penis. That's always a nice place to go. But not too much up and down. Up and down will create too much tension, you know. And in some of the ancient cultures, boys were taught how to masturbate, which is they'd have these, and certainly not before puberty, but if they were touching their penis and whatever, the father or the mother would show them not to do the up and down movement. Usually it's other boys that will teach them that. That will cause the urge to ejaculate. But instead, just a movement on the top of the penis. There's the bottom side of the penis and the top side. The bottom up and down will cause you to ejaculate. The top will last long and it's very pleasurable until it's not. So just touch it for 5 or 10 minutes and it will become soft again. As sometimes, you know, you just want to just give it a little attention because it's sticking up and it wants some attention. But then other boys teach you to do this and just cause too much tension. You see, that's intensifying. And then you get the ejaculation, which is a spasm that's highly pleasurable, but it's highly dopamine stimulating. So it really, that's why it gets addictive. It's dopamine. The same thing for the women and the clitoris. In the beginning, the clitoris, touching the clitoris, it's the gate, it's the fifth gate. It's very pleasurable, enjoying it. Naturally, what happens is pleasure comes in waves. Goes up, comes a little down, comes up, goes a little down. And it's right when the wave starts to go down, it's not as intense. So that's where we try to intensify. And the whole thing is to keep avoiding intensification, allowing energy just to rise on its own, and move according to how the energy wants you to move. Spontaneous, natural, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. There's no prediction. Your body regulates all this by just not trying to intensify. Not trying to intensify is my main technique. But yes, that brings you to the experience of being multi-orgasmic. So it's not just an orgasm, it's multi-orgasmic love, multi-orgasmic love. And what happens then is all these different points open up in the vagina. That's the sixth gate is the vagina. The seventh gate is the G spot starts to come up, and that feels really good to be touched. It's more emotional. I teach at that time to talk. It's very important to talk. With the G spot is for the woman to say, do you love me? The man to say, I love you so much. How much do you love me? Love you with all my heart. Are you happy to be with me? Am I the only one for you? All the things that women like to hear. It's because they need to hear those things. And this is the best time to have that talk. That's generally around the G spot. That's a very emotional spot. Now you're really feeling way more love than before and sharing and expressing that love. Then was at the sixth gate, seventh gate, eighth, ninth, and 10th gate tend to be the cervix will start to come down to be touched. Then to the side of the cervix is another point. Often scientists say that's the A spot, cervix is the C spot, and the other side is the B spot. But they can actually have cameras where they've seen these spots actually become showing up more. Often it just shows up as a woman goes, ooh, that feels really, really good. What are you doing? What are you doing? It's because different spots will open up as her feelings of safety and love open up. And then you have this ongoing ecstatic experience of feeling a balance of your feminine energy and your masculine energy. The two become one. One of the feelings you can have is kind of a spiritual cliche. It's words until you experience it. But that one is, I am that I am, and I am that I am, which is actually, those are three distinct spiritual experiences. But you have those when you're in love with someone, and the feeling of I'm yours, I'm all yours, and you're mine, I want to take you. See, that's a woman taking you into the body. I'm yours, you're mine, we are one. And that's the spiritual oneness of ecstasy. When you brought that oneness all the way into the body, that's very profound.
Very beautiful. John, which of the two genders, looking at the Venusian and Martian energy, has greater capacity to hold this container? I have an idea, but I would love to hear you saying something about that, because it is really holding space for that, isn't it? When two people come together.
Well, what you're doing as a man is you're holding space. You're the container for a woman to open up and feels safe. Okay, it's like I'm the walls around the castle, and she's safe inside the castle. And then I come and join her in the castle. But the whole time, I'm still creating the space around her. So, you know, a woman can hold space for someone, but she's on her masculine side at that time. So it's very interesting is that when he enters her, she is now holding his penis. Okay, so she's around him, but he's around her. So his space surrounds her. He enters in, and then she's now holding him as he's filling her up. So there's a, you know, there's a void, there's an emptiness that's filled up through the male energy. He fills her up with his penis, basically. So there's a place of holding each other. But generally speaking, I look at the hugs. I teach people sometimes in my seminars how to hug a Mars-Venus hug, which is the man's arms wrap around the woman and her arms come on the inside. So he's like the outer protecting her. And I noticed that myself is like when I was very more feminine, I liked when a woman put her arms around me. I kind of felt like, yes, she'll take care of me. She'll do my laundry. She'll cook for me. She's always there for me. And that's my female side. And so I realized, oh, I want to always strengthen my male side, which is I am there for her. I'm there for do things for her. And she on the inside, just feeling me supporting her around. She's feeling, oh, he will care for me. I don't have to do it all. And there are other movements. If a man is rather tall, sometimes they're very romantic as a woman puts her hands up over his shoulders like that. And that's very romantic as well. But then another one is his arms around her as your basic Mars-Venus hug. So the same thing in sex is he's holding her, he's around her, and at a certain point, as she's opening up, he enters up and she's now holding him, his penis, while he's holding her. So you got her now going to her male side and her female side, him being on his male side and his female side simultaneously. That's the whole ecstasy of making love is hormonally the experience of love is estrogen. When your body's making more estrogen, you're capable of feeling more love. Now, women make generally, if they're happy, 10 times more estrogen than men. So women are not as horny as men, generally speaking. And some women are addicted to sex from too much clitoral stimulation or trauma. But generally, women can feel love in so many different ways. So they're not thinking about sex all the time. I mean, you can read the studies. If you're a man, you can actually take time to reflect on it. But they're studying college students, males, and they're thinking about sex several times every minute. Okay, so they have a little thing that they would clicker on it or whatever it was. But it's not like always thinking hardcore sex. They're thinking, oh, I just saw some legs over there. I'm seeing something over there. Would I want her? I wouldn't want her. Even when you're thinking I wouldn't want her, you're thinking about sex and you go, oh, who's in the car with him? Who's that blonde I just saw? What does she look like? You know, there's always this search inside of the male for intimacy, physical intimacy. And women, of course, are much more interested in the characteristics of a man, what he can provide, his integrity, his qualities, and so forth, getting to know somebody, relationship, what we could share together. It's not all just sexual. And that's because women have higher levels of estrogen. But when men have an erection, what's happening is most people don't know, men have to make estrogen to produce an erection. He has to have enough testosterone to hold, so that, see, they work like they balance each other like a seesaw. Okay. When you're focusing on testosterone, let's just say I'm running a race and I'm competing, I'm not feeling a lot of love for anybody right now. I want to beat you up. I mean, I want to win the process. I don't care if you lose. I want to win. Okay, that's a lot of testosterone. And then, oh, I care about you winning. That's my estrogen. Well, football players can't be worried about the other team winning, right? You got to win. So this is part of life, is to find the balance of, I'm going to take care of me so I can take care of you. And I'll take care of you so you'll take care of me. That's nurturing. That's what you do with a child. I'll take care of you, and that child will give back unconditional love. So men, particularly because they have more testosterone, they require 10 times more testosterone to 20 times more than a woman. And a woman makes a lot of testosterone. Okay, no question about it compared to her estrogen. She has a lot of testosterone. But men make 10 times more to 20 times more, and they have to. Otherwise, they're depressed and angry and irritable and passive, and they can't get it up. So men need to have that testosterone level goes up. That's starting to feel he's wanted. He feels appreciated. He feels trusted by her. She's interested in him. When you're interested in a man, and then you take off your clothes, or you're willing to show a little more skin, to his subconscious mind goes, oh, she wants to have sex with me. When a woman gives the message she wants to have sex with me, even though he's not thinking any of this stuff, he's just going, oh, she's wearing a short dress. Okay, simple as that. You see men just, oh, a girl wearing a short dress more than other people. Men will just look. They're going to look because it's, first of all, it's new and different. It's out of the realm. But that's what we're designed to do, is look for the woman who wants to show up and be naked with us. Because the woman who wants to be naked with us is the woman who we can make a baby with, and that's called evolution. So food and sex, this is what makes us civilization. So anyway, so that natural desire is there, whether he's aware of it or not. It's happening all the time. If somebody walks in the room naked, a woman does, if a man walks in the room naked, everybody looks away. A woman walks in there just showing almost everything, everybody looks. This is just natural. This is natural stuff.
Yeah.
So, but the direction here I'm going kind of got lost on that one. Tell me the question again. I'm answering.
Oh, we are talking about reaching God through sex. I mean, that was
Okay, I know where I'm going
we
here.
started.
So it's about balancing the hormones. And I was mentioning a concept most people don't know, is that this female estrogen hormone has to go up. His testosterone has to be higher, which is, I feel wanted, I feel desired. See, when you're wanting a man, when you're open to being vulnerable with a man, which is take off your clothes, is one superficial level of vulnerability, primitive, but I'm taking off my clothes with you. You're trusting him. See, this is what builds testosterone in men. So his testosterone goes up, but he feels so confident now that his estrogen levels can go up as well. To a woman, when a woman is making a man feel trusted, now his estrogen levels go up as well. He's connecting to her. So as his estrogen goes up, he gets an erection. And as his estrogen goes higher and higher, his erection becomes stronger and stronger. And his testosterone has to keep rising as his estrogen rising. And that is the ecstatic union with God. That's what I had in meditation, but it wasn't grounded in my body, which is the balance of my masculine and feminine. So I'm able to have a thought and just not think anything else. My mind can be completely blank. I can be hours. People say you can't stop your thinking. Well, I'm not stopping my thinking. I'm just thinking one thing. I can do that. And everything goes blank. Which is a little challenging with memory. I can think about one thing and everything else is gone. But it's got to come back from thinking one thing. So that's what meditation does. It teaches concentration. Okay. And the irony is, if you try to concentrate, then that's what most people think concentration is. You're trying to do it. But this is effortless concentration. Effortless. You're just in a flow state and your mind is focused on one thing. And so well, sex, this is the great thing about sex, is it's effortless, okay? It's easy to feel pleasure, okay? It's effortless. So as you go with feeling the pleasure, now you basically continue to think, okay, I'm feeling my pleasure. Now I'm choosing to feel my love, to feel the love in my heart and share it and express it. And so the woman basically says, at various times, she can say, do you love me? He said, yes, I love you. And there he's feeling more love to express. And then, how much do you love me? Like the stars in the universe, and more love is expressed. This is a powerful intention. Part of all of the historical yogic practices that I know, and then the practice of the cities, the powers, is you go into samadhi state, which is you're experiencing a oneness with all, and you're in a flow state. And it's an empty state too. And in that emptiness, you just set an intention, like feel happiness. And then suddenly you just start feeling all this happiness. Or you set an intention, feel compassion, and you start feeling all this compassion. Or you have a intention to feel love. And the Yoga Sutras, actually, I think it's a better expression of the word love, but it's called friendliness. Think about whenever you're friendly, you're feeling love. It's such an easy one. Just be friendly, nice. That's love. So you just think friendliness and think of all the people you're friendly towards, and you'll just be filled with love. Now, you can do that right now in a non-meditative state and just think about being friendly and you'll feel a little something. But when you're in a place of emptiness, then that's all there is when you set that intention to feel love. And now you feel a lot of love. You feel a lot of compassion. You feel a lot of happiness. You feel a lot of spaciousness. You feel lightness. You feel humbleness. You feel magnetic. That's another one, be able to feel your power to attract things to you. These are different meditative states, but the ultimate of all of them is to balance the masculine and feminine within you. And harmonically, that means for women to have very high estrogen level along with very high testosterone level. And that's a biological measurable thing, is that when women are having their ovulation, then what happens 2 days before ovulation is a hormone, a brain chemical, luteinizing hormone activates her adrenal gland to make more testosterone, increase her desire for sex. So this is the balance. If women's estrogen goes up, then they want to have more sex. See, what is the desire for sex is your masculine side. And so that naturally happens. Now, a woman is different from an animal in that she doesn't have to wait to be in heat for her estrogen levels to go high. She doesn't have to wait to be ovulating. With romance and with intention, she can, through relationship, she can raise her estrogen to this very high level, and then her testosterone goes to a very high level, and then she experiences orgasmic ecstasy. Instead of it just being an orgasm, which is a glimpse, it's holding on to that ecstasy again and again and again. And you have this experience, kind of an out-of-body experience. One definition of ecstasy is to stand outside of, the Latin roots, is you're actually standing outside of you see, your soul, there's a source, another self, which is outside of you. And it's like when you access that other self while you're also in this body, it's ecstasy. It's this self knowing itself as this body. There's a thing in Hinduism, which is Sat, which stands for the existence, Chit, which stands for consciousness. So when consciousness is aware of itself as the body, but also aware of itself at the same time, then you have bliss, Satchit Ananda, self knowing itself in this form, but it knowing itself as separate from, but also part of, and you have this spaciousness. So a lot of times when the woman is making love, she'll feel like I'm dying. That's called the petite death. The French would have an expression for that, is that whole sense of self. You're getting in touch with the bigger self. So the little self is disappearing. And that's the orgasmic ecstasy of divine union with God or with the higher power.
Wow, this is so fulfilling answers. Thank you so much. And I want to paste this now a little bit more into a evolutionary question. I mean, we see on Facebook and on social media, all these spiritual singles and twin flames, and there are all these terminologies thrown around. And are spiritual seeking men and women better lovers, or would you say there's another dimension to it?
Well, let's see. There's a town nearby my town, and there's a woman in the town. She's the Tantra teacher. She's the expert on sex, and everybody goes to her. She teaches them everything. And I met her husband. I said, well, tell me what sex is like. We hadn't had sex in 2 years. I said, why? Well, she's always telling me what I have to do, what I don't do, and nothing I do is right. So it's not even fun for me. So that's sometimes the case. There's a lot of people that teach things that they don't live it. And sometimes because of that, the way they teach it is not really going to work for other people. So are they better lovers? I mean, look, you don't need to know anything about spirituality. You got Joe Sixpack and his wife, and their children have grown up. And so they now have time together and they're having a good time. They're loving each other. They're taking care of each other. They're making love. They could have the most amazing experience without any of these techniques, whatever. It's the love. And so if you have a life where you're successful in loving each other, and, a lot of, I'll just speak for a lot of, quote, spiritual people, they think they're being spiritual when they're in a community where they're all having sex with each other. Okay. So all I could say is you're just a bunch of animals having sex. Okay. And it feels really good. And you can feel your union with God there, for a brief moment, because you're feeling more, so I can eat ice cream and I feel more, but it's not an established spiritual integration of bringing the divine through me into the world to create a successful, meaningful life. So there's so many ways to have sex and, a new partner every time. This is what the emperors of China did. They had concubines. And so every night it would be a different woman. And the wife would pick the different woman, because if you have a new and different partner, you get what's I'll call fake sex, but still you'll have an ecstatic experience. Experiences are cheap, at a certain point. I've had every spiritual experience you can describe. Experience is just something and it goes away. What you want is the state, the state of being where you are that all the time. And then that changes. There's all these different levels of enlightenment. But just to experience things, that's fun. You can take drugs for that. People ask me why I don't take drugs. I've tested them all just to see what the experience was. But why do I even care about something that is over afterwards? Unless you're doing it for some form of therapy or some kind of awakening. And then you did it. Now you're awake. Now you have to put it into practice. I've seen a lot of people who did some various mushrooms or ayahuasca or something, and they have the experience that there's so much more to life than just my mundane life. But then you've got to put that into practice, and that takes spiritual discipline. And the same thing with, let's say, when I was younger, I had sex with lots of women to understand that men and women were different. That helped me, and to have a lot of beautiful orgasmic experiences, but then they were over. When you have someone, and my spiritual energy would deplete quite a bit also. But when I was with somebody, when I finally married Bonnie and she knew I was dedicated to her, I'm committed to her, the energy circulates. So it never drained me at all. That's my own experience. And so you can have all kinds of spirituality. Here's one description of spirituality, which is there's different stages, but the fourth stage of spirituality, one is you're seeking, you're suffering, and so you realize I'm suffering. I need more. I'm on the path. Okay, I'm looking. Okay, I got to find something else. And then the second stage is you found your path. You found whatever practice works for you. You see that you're very open-minded about other things, but you found the thing that works for you. You're on your path. You're doing your practice, and then your practice works, and you get an experience. So you experience something, so you can go have sex with stranger, whatever you experience, an orgasm, you kind of go, oh, I want more of that. But you don't get more of that. That doesn't sustain it. What sustains it, fourth level of enlightenment, is where it was no longer that I experienced my infinite consciousness, expanded awareness, which is wonderful to experience, but it goes away. But to become that, it only stays when you become that. So I am that. And that's never gone. That was, I don't know, back in my 20s when that happened. And, I thought I was hot stuff, I'll tell you. Because it's quite an ego trip when you are one with the universe. People say self-realization, know yourself. Well, I learned myself. But then you move into many other stages where then you realize that there is no self. So that's the higher level of self-realization, is that I have no self. When you feel the self you have is this is the path of relationship. The path of relationship is you find you're one with you can relate to your partner. You relate to how they're feeling. We have communication skills so that people can first understand what they're feeling and then be able to understand what other people are feeling and be able to relate to that in a positive way. So that's the growth of unity consciousness. I achieved unity consciousness as a meditator, but then coming into the world, you're feeling that oneness, but then, well, I don't want to be one with that person. And I'm not going to be one with that. It was rather challenging. If I saw somebody who was homeless, I would freak out, because I'm feeling like I'm homeless, and, I don't want to be homeless, So you have to have your own boundaries of who I am and then know who others are. And that's the relationship. Relationship is a path of learning to connect with somebody and not let them have power over you. To the extent that you lose yourself.